The crystal glasses clinked as my sister Katherine raised her champagne and a mock toast. To Sarah, she smirked, still running that cute little consulting business of hers. At least she's persistent. Laughter rippled around the massive dining table of our family estate. I kept my expression neutral, sipping water from my glass while mentally calculating how many shares of Morton Industries I now own through my shell companies. If they only knew. The Morton family name once meant something in Chicago's business world. Morton Industries, founded by my grandfather, had grown into a $100 million empire spanning real estate, manufacturing, and technology. My father now sat at its head, with my sister Katherine as heir apparent. And me? I was the family disappointment, the daughter who'd walked away from the empire to start my own business. Really, Sarah, my mother sighed, adjusting her pearls. You're 32 now. Don't you think it's time to be serious about your future? Katherine's just been named Executive Vice President of Operations. Katherine preened. At 35, she was everything my parents wanted. Harvard MBA, perfect corporate wardrobe, engaged to the son of another wealthy family. She'd spent her entire life copying our father's tactics, never questioning, never innovating. I am serious about my future, I replied calmly. Summit Consulting is doing well. Summit Consulting, my father scoffed. A one-woman show working out of a shared office space. Meanwhile, your sister is handling $100 million acquisitions. I thought about the secure laptop in my bag, the one showing my company's true portfolio. Summit Consulting was just the tip of the iceberg, the public face of an operation that had quietly grown into something far more significant. How many clients do you even have? Katherine asked, her voice dripping with false concern. Last I heard, you were doing bookkeeping for small businesses. If she only knew that one of my small business clients was actually a holding company I created to buy up shares of Morton Industries. But I just smiled and spread butter on my dinner roll. Enough to keep me busy. The truth was, I'd seen the writing on the wall years ago. Morton Industries, for all its apparent success, was rotting from the inside. My father and sister were so focused on maintaining the appearance of success that they'd missed the fundamental shifts in the market. It started the day I brought my father a detailed analysis of emerging market trends. I was 25, fresh from completing my MBA at Stanford, not Harvard, to my parents' eternal disappointment. The company needs to digitize, I explained, pointing to my carefully prepared charts. Our competitors are already adapting, if we don't change now. Nonsense, my father interrupted. Morton Industries has thrived for 50 years doing things our way. We don't need Silicon Valley ideas here. Katherine, sitting in on the meeting, laughed. Oh, Sarah, always trying to fix what isn't broken. This is why you should have gone to Harvard. They teach proper business there. That night, I made a decision. If they wouldn't listen, I would find another way. I withdrew my trust fund, a relatively modest amount compared to Katherine's, but enough to start, and founded Summit Consulting. But Summit was just a cover. Behind the scenes, I created Apex Holdings, a private investment firm operating through a complex network of shell companies. While appearing to consult for small businesses, I was actually building a web of strategic investments. I hired the best financial analysts, tech experts, and market researchers. We worked in absolute secrecy, using encrypted communications and private servers. No one knew that the mysterious Sam McCarter bidding on Morton Industries shares was actually Sarah Morton herself. My father and Katherine's mismanagement made it almost too easy. They chased flashy acquisitions while neglecting core infrastructure. They'd borrowed heavily to maintain the appearance of success, using company assets as collateral. Meanwhile, I was quietly buying up their debt through my holding companies. Every time they took out a loan to fund Katherine's latest vanity project, I was there, purchasing the debt instruments through different entities. Tell us about this shared office space of yours. Katherine's fiancé, Bradley, joined in the mockery. Must be exciting, working alongside. What do they call them? Social media influencers. I thought about my real office, the entire top floor of a downtown high-rise, where Apex Holdings managed billions in assets. But I just nodded pleasantly. It's amazing what you can learn from different perspectives. My mother shook her head. I just don't understand, Sarah. You had everything here. A guaranteed executive position, the family name. Maybe some people aren't cut out for real business, Katherine added, smiling sweetly. At least she's not embarrassing us too publicly with her little venture. I excused myself early from dinner, citing client work. As I drove away from the family estate, my phone buzzed with an urgent message from my chief analyst. Morton Industries just lost the Anderson contract. Stock will plummet when markets open tomorrow. Do we proceed with Phase 3? I pulled over and opened my laptop, quickly reviewing the numbers. The Anderson contract had been keeping Morton Industries afloat, masking their growing debt. Without it, the house of cards would finally collapse. Proceed, I typed back. Begin acquiring all available shares when trading opens. Alert our friends at the banks, it's time to call in those loans. Looking back at the brightly lit mansion in my rearview mirror, I thought about Katherine's mocking toast. For 7 years, I played the role of the failing daughter, the family disappointment. I'd smiled through their condescension, quietly building my own empire while theirs crumbled. Tomorrow, everything would change. The mysterious buyer they'd been fearfully whispering about would finally reveal her identity, and I would learn if success truly is the best revenge. Phase 3 was about to begin, and the Mortons were about to discover that their failing daughter had been several steps ahead of them all along. The morning after that family dinner, Morton Industries stock plunged 47% in the first hour of trading. The Anderson contract loss hit the news, and decades of mismanagement finally caught up with them. I watched it unfold from my real office, the penthouse suite of Chicago's newest skyscraper. Miss Carter, my chief analyst, David, entered with urgent updates. Morton Industries is trying to secure emergency funding, but every bank has turned them down. Of course they had. Apex Holdings owned most of their debt. Their board is calling an emergency meeting, David continued. Your father and sister are trying to maintain control, but the shareholders are demanding answers. I smiled, thinking of Katherine's smug face at dinner. Are we ready for the next step? He nodded, sliding a folder across my desk. Everything's in place. Apex Holdings now controls 43% of Morton Industries shares. With the proxies we secured from other shareholders, we have effective control. And they still don't know who's behind Apex. No, they've been too busy trying to save appearances to dig deeper. Though your sister did try to arrange a meeting with SM Carter last week. I couldn't help but laugh. Katherine had sent an email practically begging to meet the mysterious investor who was buying up Morton Industries shares. The same sister who'd mockingly asked if I was still playing at business wanted to negotiate with my alter ego. Send the notice to the board, I instructed. Sam Carter will be attending today's emergency meeting. My phone buzzed. Another frantic message from Katherine. Sarah, where are you? Dad's having a meltdown. The company's falling apart. We need everyone here. I didn't respond. Instead, I changed into my power suit, not the modest outfits I wore to family dinners, but the kind of suit that commanded attention in any boardroom. 7 years of hiding my success was about to end. The Morton Industries boardroom was chaos when I arrived. Board members argued loudly, their faces red with panic. My father sat at the head of the table, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Katherine paced nervously, her perfect composure cracking. They barely noticed me enter. Why would they? To them, I was just Sarah, the failure, the consultation who worked from a shared office space. What is she doing here? One board member demanded. This is a private meeting. I took my time walking to the front of the room. Actually, I have every right to be here. In fact, I called this meeting. My father's head snapped up. What are you talking about? I connected my laptop to the projector. Let me introduce myself properly. I'm SM Carter, CEO of Apex Holdings. The room fell silent. Katherine stopped pacing, her face draining of color. That's impossible, she whispered. Sam Carter is a brilliant investor who's been acquiring Morton Industries piece by piece. I smiled. Sarah Morton Carter. Did none of you even think to look into those initials? I pulled up the ownership documents, displaying them on the screen. Apex Holdings, through various subsidiaries, now controls 43% of Morton Industries shares. We also own the majority of the company's debt obligations. My father stood up so quickly his chair toppled backward. You're the one who's been buying us out. Someone had to. Your leadership has driven this company to the brink of collapse. The Anderson contract was just the final straw. Katherine found her voice, though it shook with rage. This is ridiculous. She's lying. She runs a small consulting firm. She works in a shared office. Summit Consulting was a cover, I explained calmly. A very successful one, considering none of you ever bothered to look deeper. You were too busy mocking me to notice I was building something far bigger than Morton Industries. I clicked to the next slide, showing Apex Holdings' full portfolio. $12 billion in assets under management, controlling interests in dozens of companies, strategic partnerships with tech giants and emerging market leaders. While you were clinging to outdated business models, I continued, I was building the future, the digital transformation I proposed 7 years ago. I implemented it in my own company instead. The international partnerships you dismissed as unnecessary, they're now the backbone of Apex's success. The board members whispered among themselves, their earlier hostility replaced by dawning respect. My father had sunk back into his chair, staring at the empire his failing daughter had built. As of this morning, I announce Apex Holdings has enough shareholder proxies to take control of Morton Industries. We'll be restructuring the company, modernizing operations, and implementing the changes that should have been made years ago. You can't do this, Katherine protested weakly. This is our company, our legacy. A legacy you've nearly destroyed through mismanagement and pride. Look at the numbers, Katherine. Really look at them. I pulled up the company's financial statements, highlighting years of declining profits masked by creative accounting and dangerous borrowing. Every time you took out loans to fund vanity projects, Apex was there to buy the debt. Every time you ignored market trends and lost customers to more innovative competitors, we were acquiring your shares at declining prices. You did this to yourselves. The board members were nodding now. They'd seen the company's decline but had been powerless to stop it under my father's authoritarian leadership. There will be changes, I continued. Major ones. The board will be restructured. New management will be brought in. The company will finally enter the 21st century. And what about us? My father asked quietly. I studied him, this man who dismissed my ideas, mocked my ambitions, and chosen Katherine as his heir simply because she never challenged his outdated views. You'll be offered a retirement package, assuming you step down quietly. Katherine, I turned to my sister, who looked like she might faint. You have two choices. Accept a minor position under new management and learn how modern business actually works, or leave with a generous severance. This is revenge, isn't it? She spat. For all the times we made fun of your little business. I shook my head. This is business, Katherine. Something you never really understood. I'm saving the company you nearly destroyed. The fact that it's satisfying to reveal the truth after 7 years of your mockery, that's just a bonus. The meeting lasted another hour. The board voted overwhelmingly to accept Apex's proposal. They had little choice, given our controlling interest. My father signed his resignation with trembling hands. Katherine stormed out, tears streaming down her face. As the boardroom emptied, my mother appeared in the doorway. She'd been so quiet during the meeting I'd almost forgotten she was there. All this time, she said softly, while we were pitying you. You saw what you wanted to see, I replied. A daughter who rejected the family path must be failing, right? It never occurred to any of you that I might succeed differently. Why did you tell us? I laughed. Would you have believed me? Besides, you made it clear what you thought of my business abilities that day I proposed modernizing the company. Remember what you said. Leave the real business to your sister. She flinched. We were wrong. Yes, you were. About everything. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of change. Morton Industries underwent a complete transformation. I brought in top talent from Apex to modernize operations, implement digital solutions, and rebuild client relationships. Katherine, surprisingly, chose to stay. Perhaps getting knocked off her pedestal taught her something. She started in middle management, finally learning the business skills she should have developed years ago. My father took the retirement package but couldn't stay away. 1 month after the takeover, he appeared in my office, my real office, not the shared space he so often mocked. I don't know whether to be proud or furious, he admitted, looking around at the view of Chicago's skyline. Try being both, I suggested. I learned a lot from you, Dad. Mostly what not to do, but still. He managed a weak smile. The company, it's doing better than it has in years. Amazing what can happen when you actually adapt to changing markets instead of clinging to the past. And all those nights we thought you were working late at your failing consulting firm. I was working late, I corrected, building something bigger than you ever imagined I could. He shifted uncomfortably. Your sister is struggling with the changes. Catherine's problem was never lack of ability, I said. It was too much entitlement. Maybe now she'll learn the value of earning success instead of expecting it. And what about me? He asked quietly. Is there a place for me in this new version of our family company? I studied him thoughtfully. That depends. Are you ready to learn from your daughter? To admit that sometimes the old ways aren't the best ways? He nodded slowly. I think 7 years of being proven wrong has taught me some humility. Then yes, I said. There's a place for you on our advisory board. Part-time, of course. You should enjoy that retirement package. As he left, I thought about that dinner just weeks ago. Their mocking toasts, their condescending concerns, their absolute certainty that success only looked one way. The next family dinner was different. It was held in my penthouse with a view of the city we were helping reshape. Katherine was quieter, more thoughtful. My father actually listened when I spoke about business. My mother still didn't quite understand what I'd built, but she was trying. To Sarah, Katherine raised her glass, no mockery in her voice this time. Who taught us all that success doesn't always look the way we expect it to? I smiled, thinking of the scared but determined young woman who'd walked away from a guaranteed future to build something of her own. To new beginnings, I replied, and to finally seeing people for who they are, not who we assume them to be. Later that night, standing in my office, I opened a frame hanging on the wall. Inside was the analysis I presented 7 years ago, the one they dismissed so completely. Next to it was Apex Holdings' current valuation, $12 billion and growing. Sometimes success isn't about proving others wrong. Sometimes it's about proving yourself right. And sometimes the sweetest victory isn't in the reveal, but in all the quiet moments of building something extraordinary while others underestimate you. Katherine still works at Morton Industries, slowly earning the respect she once took for granted. My father's advisory role has helped him find purpose in retirement. And me, I'm expanding Apex's reach globally, proving that the best revenge isn't just success. It's success so profound it transforms even those who doubted you. As for that shared office space they mocked so often, I bought the building. It's now a startup incubator, helping other underestimated entrepreneurs build their own empires. Because sometimes the greatest satisfaction isn't in proving people wrong. It's in helping others prove themselves right.